a safe drama if you don't like unpleasantness. There is absolutely no unpleasantness, even though every other episode there's some sort of poisoning, murder, or trickery going on. Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to our pod. Today we're going to talk about an older show that we watched recently, or I watched because Elle didn't finish, though I think you kind of enjoyed what you enjoyed and got the gist of it, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
from 2023 called Wrong Carriage, Right Groom. Chinese name is 新上错花轿嫁对郎. It's a mouthful. And it's a remake, I think, of a oldie classic that was, I think, pretty popular when it originally came out in 2001. And the reason we watched it, or I watched it, was because, after watching Moonlight Mystique, which still remains my favorite Shensha of all time now, I went on a binge of all of the, well, not all, but a lot of Ao Ruipeng shows, right? The male lead from Moonlight Mystique.
Mm-hmm.
This had actually been, I think I told you, Al, originally when it came out on my watch list, because it looked kind of maybe cute and funny. But
Mm-hmm.
what convinced me not to check it out at the time was it got completely bashed in the social media at the time. No, and there were a lot of haters, and honestly, it looked really aesthetically unpleasing, and we can talk about that too. Like, especially Arepan's getup, I was like, what happened? Like, not that at the time I found him attractive, but I remember, like, I had watched, like, Blood of Youth, and I thought, oh, he's really kind of goofy and funny. Like, he's a cute, like, young man, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
cute, not in, like, oh, he's so handsome cute, but, like, cute, like, peppy, and so he would be good in comedy, because he was a very comedic character in Blood of Youth. But I guess I was swayed by public opinion and did not check it out. And but now I did. So that was a long-winded intro. And I guess you got sucked into the vortex by me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I also enjoy him, so that was a good reason to check it out. So,
So what did you watch? I watched it's a 24 episode show, right? And I watched all
mm-hmm.
24 episodes. And the general setup of the show is, wrong carriage, right groom, meaning two girls from the same city set out to get married far away, right, to arranged
Mm-hmm.
marriages, and they somehow got switched in midway and got into the wrong carriage so then they ended up marrying each other's intended grooms,
Mm-hmm.
and both worked out for them. Basically, that's the
Yes.
story.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because when I started it, so this was based on a novel or two novels actually, from a Taiwanese writer, and so I think my understanding is that each novel is about each couple. So when they did the script, I assume they sort of merged the stories together, and it kind of shows actually when you watch the early, like the first 10 episodes, where you actually see each bride and each respective groom, like they're off in their own little adventures, but they're separated, right? They're by distance, and they don't actually converge until later on. But it was interesting, but when I started watching this, I was thinking like, oh, like because the girls actually know that they got switched, obviously, when they arrived, and you're like, oh, how are they gonna resolve the fact that they're not the bride that, by name, right, by identity? And I was very surprised how quickly the identities were sort of resolved very early on, like where it wasn't like, oh, I'm this fake bride and I'm just gonna, kind of go through it, but like they actually resolved it pretty quickly. And the groom, like the like, so Ao Ruipeng, he actually started already questioning her identity because he had been given a description of his intended bride, and he's like, she doesn't really act the way that I've been told, right?
Sweet and demure, and what is it? Accomplished in the womanly arts. She's
Yes.
accomplished in other arts like martial arts.
Yes, yes. So there's two grooms, right? So one's a scholar, that's Ao Ruipeng. He's like
Mhm.
he's a sickly scholar, And then the other groom is a very successful general, and he's actually at the border fighting an ongoing war at the time of this wedding, which also didn't make sense. Like, why would you get married when you're not even at home? Like, you're off at war. But so the brides, as they were intended, is the martial artist type, where she was raised by a martial arts family, was intended for the general. And then the other, like you said, more like feminine, well-educated. Although she was daughter of a merchant, so she wasn't a noble person, but not of nobility, but she was successful. Anyways, so she was intended for the scholar. So on paper, they should have been very well matched. And then as you're watching it,
intended matches.
Yes. And then as they, but it was cute. I think so. You and I talked about offline that it worked because personality-wise, you would not expect those mixed up couples to work. But for me, I was like, oh, they're so cute together. Like the main CP, which is Ao Ruipeng, and the other girl, what's her name? Tian Xiwei.
Tian Xiwei.
Yeah, like they're so cute together, and
they are.
They're very bubbly together, and her energy, like she's very high energy because she's sort of this tomboy, and he kind of thrives off of it, right? He's energized by her energy because he's also been, so spoiler, but he's been poisoned for a long time. So he's like sickly, and he's also trying to figure out like how to go ahead.
Not really poisoned, right? He knows someone's trying to poison him, so he's just pretend poison, but he's lived a very sequestered life and on guard, basically lonely in some ways, right? Because he's isolated in this dangerous family unit.
Yes. Well, because he has two older brothers who also had died, you know, before they turned 25. So when she married him, she thought he was an invalid, and she was like, "Oh, I'll just marry him, and it's okay if that it's the wrong groom. I'll live, he won't live long enough, and then I'll go back home."
Like, do him a favor, basically, right? Do everyone a favor, get it over with.
Yeah. So so he also was actually suspicious of her in the beginning because he's like, she's not who she says she is. So is she like a fake bride? Like he actually thought maybe she's a fake bride that the villain sent, right, to do him harm. But they quickly kind of resolve that. So then you sort of get a lot of sweetness from them, and then she sort of becomes like his partner in crime to solve, to take down the evil villain who is actually his cousin, who is not part of the family by name, but they share the same grandmother.
He's a cousin. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's just a cousin, right? He's from the woman's side, the grandma's woman's side of the family. So, who's basically scheming. He's a paper-thin villain. So, but it sounds like then you enjoyed it, right? Like I definitely would say it's a fluff piece, but I'm glad I finally checked it out, and not just because Ao Ruipeng's in it. I think it confirms that I do really like his his roles suit him. So I've watched many other horrible shows that he's been in, and I still like him in them. And it's not because I'm like, oh wow, he looks great. I mean, he looks good in them, but I think the roles that he plays tend to suit him really well. Or he just plays them like he knows his strength, or he's cast in the right roles for him. So this, as weak as the story is, I really enjoyed it, even though I would say, so maybe this is a good transition point to talk about what we liked and don't like. And we don't have to talk all in any specific order. I'll start with what I liked and don't like at the same time. What I really liked was the initial part of the story, the first 10 episodes or so, where it's more focused on the two couples, well, mainly the first couple, right? And then they said, which is, you thought the whole story would be, given the title, about, it could have been just about resolving the bride swap mystery and then how they get together, but no, actually they resolved most of that in the first 8 episodes, right? It's all settled, but that progression in the first 8 episodes is really fun and sweet and cute. And in fact, because I knew you may not be able to watch the whole show, I even told you, I said, just watch the first 8 episodes and you can skip to the end. Like, that is the complete story you need to see. Everything in the middle doesn't matter. So then it also then when I say it's also a part I don't like about the plot, which is eventually the plot becomes just kind of blah and pivots to focusing on them overcoming challenges. Them, especially the couple, overcoming the paper thin villain, scheming cousin who's out to basically kill everyone and take over the family, right?
Right.
And it's it's unnecessary to take 10 something episodes to go through all of that. I would say that it also didn't focus on the second couple as much as I would have liked. Like I jokingly texted you when I said, the second couple is like the couple also not appearing in this show, right?
Because I would text you. It's like I was like, I'm like episode 3. I still haven't seen the second male lead. Like, where is he? Like
they could have spent like as much. So sure, spend more time on the first CP because they're cute, right? But the second couple is so different and so good in their own way. I would say the first CP I liked is their sweetness, the cuteness, their banter. I really like how Tian Ao Ruipeng's character, the male lead, right, teases his little wifey. And she falls for it every time, but she's not stupid either. I mean, she's kind of falls for it because she's gullible. And I think someone said that she's supposed to be like 15. She's not that old.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of makes sense. Right. She's not a scholarly girl, but she always eventually catches on. And then they have their sweet moments. But then the second couple is very like, I think I texted you. I said, he reminds me of Alan Rickman from Sense and Sensibility, like the general who's very calm, centered, gentlemanly. Doesn't think, maybe thinks he's not really worthy. Not that he's like that with the girl, but like, like a very like just introverted man who happens to be of war, right?
Yes.
And so there's a sweetness to that kind of maturity. And she is like almost like she's definitely more Emma Thompson, right, than Kate Winslet in Sense and Sensibility. Right?
Yes.
So it's very quiet, but still very romantic type of dynamic. I just wish they had more like time shown on the story instead of focusing on unnecessary, farcical, almost overcoming the villain. Like I think I told you, right? Like offline that the main part of the story when it's not focusing on the couple is really a paper thin like morality play type of farce. Like it's a morality play / comedy farce. 2-dimensional in that sense.
Well, I mean, look, the villain. I mean, it made sense to have that villain. I just think the way they executed the villain was not the best. But again, I don't feel like that was the object of this drama. Like, it really just wants to play on the cuteness, right, of the couples, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's some bad stuff happening, and there's actually a lot of bad stuff that happens. I mean, there's like attempted murder all the time, but like it's still a comedy. Like that's the weird thing. Like it's so serious. Like people have these are very serious schemes, and even when like they were trying to like the main CP were trying to like bring like these witnesses to like prove to the grandmother to show her like like her nephew is this horrible person because they were trying to take him down, and he actually has a lot of soft power within the family because of his business deals and all the thugs and henchmen he has built over the years, but like still it was kind of like I don't know if the actor is okay, like the villain actor, he was okay, but like, do you feel like he's a formidable opponent? Kind of not. Like he felt like a little boy playing in this ocean, like
he's a very vicious boy.
He is very vicious. He turns, I think, more vicious, right? You said.
Yes.
And and then obviously the second CP, right? Like they have to have their thing, which was the general is now ordered by imperial edict, as I say, to like marry the princess because he has so much power, military power, and he's no, I love my wife, and they're like, well, you can just divorce her, like who cares, right?
just divorce her, or make her like a concubine, right?
Yes.
Princess.
So that was their little like bump in the in this road of love. So I would say Yeah, like you're not really watching it for those hefty issues, even though those are in other dramas, those would be very hefty in terms of like life and death, right? They are facing life and death issues, but it's not played out that way at all. So you're just like, oh, I'm just waiting for the happy ending, which, they do all get their happy ending. So
And by doing it that way, though, I feel like it diminishes in the middle diminishes both the light, fluffy, romantic cuteness as well as the actual like overcoming the villainy, right? It's like, okay, which one are you? And you didn't really go all the way on either, which is a shame.
yes.
So
But
I feel like we talked.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I see it as like it's a conflict, right? Because it could have just gone dark, right? Because dramas do that sometimes, where they start light and they do get really dark.
Right. So it didn't
But,
do
like,
that.
It didn't do that. It didn't want to go there. It's not like they even try. I don't think they
It's a
try.
safe drama if you don't like unpleasantness. There is absolutely no unpleasantness, even though every other episode there's some sort of poisoning, murder, or trickery going on.
I feel like this is the type of heftiness that you would show to younger audiences to introduce them to that type of genre.
Yes, no older than 6.
Like, you want to introduce these themes to them, but you don't want them to have nightmares. Like, this is the way to go.
Yes, that's a good one. It's rated safer than G in some ways.
Right, because it's all spoken, it's all in the background. You never see anything bad. Yeah.
Yes.
So
actually, I read somewhere that before you go on, that reminded me. I did read from other people who have seen the original that it was based on, that they apparently it was a much more risque show before than the remake, which is kind of ironic, right? So it wasn't as like, I guess, for 6-year-olds, and maybe that's what went wrong with the remake, right? And why so many people bashed it, right? Because whenever you make something that's popular, even if it's from 20 years ago, people are out for you, right? With Knives Out. B, if it doesn't live up to the expectations, you get basically dinged for copying it scene by scene, as well as not taking the best elements. So I've heard both. Again, I'm not gonna go watch the originals to compare, right? I'm just still passing on what I've read to kind of explain maybe why it didn't work out for most audiences or people didn't check it out. I have seen how people say how ugly Ao Ruipeng looks in the show, and I can't blame them, because my God, in episode 1 especially, he looked like, and part of it, I think you had said offline, it could be because he's supposed to be sickly then, right? Like pretending to be sickly. But my God, I was like, this is Ao Ruipeng. He looks really awful, right? It's the hair, but I think I also read that it's. Oh my God, yeah. Why the braids and the weird eyebrows? Like they made his eyebrows extra bushy or something, and like kind of like goofy looking. Like he's a heavy eyelid. Like his eyelids look like
his eyeshadow or something. Yeah, made him look very heavy lidded.
I think they fixed that in the later episodes if they shot it in sequence, right? Maybe episode 1 was just like a real fluke. And they fine-tuned the filter as well as the makeup and the hair. So I did read, though, before I forget. The reason why I really looked bad on him is apparently he was a last-minute substitute stand-in for the original male lead, which I don't know who that was. So it was never tailored to him, the hairstyle and everything, which would make sense, right? So in light of that, if that is true, then it worked out okay. And after a while, you kind of just get used to it, right? And you're just like, oh, he's not bad looking. Especially once he shows you he's actually pretending to be sick and not really a on death's door sickly man who's coughing all day long, right?
Right.
So then his personality takes over and it's cute. So anyways, I feel like I've talked a lot about what I like, don't like. Anything else you would add to that?
We liked the master, the Sifu.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling you that he has very kind eyes, and he's like everybody's dad. I mean, by the end.
But he doesn't look like a dad. That's the thing.
They say he's 41 in the drama. They say he's 41.
Well, he's very hot for 41.
Yeah. No, he's very handsome, right? Like, I mean, I think they try to make him look older, but he's not. I don't think he's an old guy. But his character was so actually important because he actually links the two couples together. He has he actually has a significant role in that in terms of being fated with both couples and being the link to kind of aid them right through these bumps that they're obstacles that they have. So I liked his character. I was telling you that I thought it was unnecessary to add the wife, like this whole subplot with the wife, and I'm like, okay,
But
we
she's
don't
pretty
really.
too.
Oh yeah, she's pretty too. Yeah, they were a cute couple. I like them. It's just they had no
Yeah.
storyline, you know. So
Yes. It was just like, oh,
um,
they reunited. Like no
yeah,
context.
yeah. Like she kicked him out of the house one day, and then he was missing for 3 years.
Yeah. And
it's
then
like
it was
what?
like, oh, I'm so happy to see you again. Like, what? Huh? I guess they didn't have cell phones, so I guess it's easy to lose touch.
Yeah.
That should not
Um.
happen in this day and age, okay? You'd be like, hey, where the heck are you, man? What's
Yeah.
that?
That was a really weird plot, actually. But yeah, I really like the Sifu, and then I was trying to think, like, the other characters were, like, look, I liked, one thing I did like too was when the general met the bride, but he didn't know. Okay, so remember he was off at war, so she
Mhm,
decided, she heard all these horrible things because he had
mhm.
two previous wives, and
Yeah.
the rumor was that he tortured them to death. And so
Yeah.
he has, like, so everyone's, like, afraid of him. And she's like, I need to meet this guy because she's like, I'm not his intended wife. So she actually wanted to, like, clear it up with him. And so
Yeah.
she went to look for him, and then she couldn't go in onto the premise because she's a woman, so she was dressed as a man, like kind of like Mulan, and disguised. And so the first time he meets her is that she decides to go like bathing or swimming in this
Of
remote
course.
pond.
Like they
And so
meet
he's
cute,
like, why
right?
is yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's like, why is there a woman here? Like there's no women are allowed here. And she like runs off, and he's like, who are you? She's like, I'm the general's wife, which she is. But he thought she was just, making it up to fake it. So I thought that was such a cute meeting, even though
Mhm.
it's kind of tropey, but I loved it. Like I was like, oh, this is
They
so
could have
cute.
had yeah, they could have had a whole separate story to your point, right? If it was based on two books, that would make more sense that they had their own separate story that shine the spotlight on their whole end to end, beginning to end, like how they met and everything. That would have been very sweet, and it would have been a very different kind of romance or rom com than the first couple, which is much more cutesy, ha ha ha, like playfulness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I like that. So that's actually one of my favorite scenes, the meeting, the second CP
Mm.
meeting,
Yeah, that's
as
one of mine
well
too.
as, I mean, they only have like 5 scenes to be honest in the whole show. So okay, I exaggerate, but you are kind of agreeing with me, right? From just
Yeah,
the
I
lack
didn't
of
even know
screen
what he
time,
looked like. I was like, where's the second male lead?
lack of screen time, given to them. Unfortunately, that's the downside of this show. But one of the other scenes I really like that features the second CP is actually when he found out that she is actually a girl and it's his wife, right? Because the
Mm.
doctor master
Oh,
reveals it to
yes.
him, and then he
Yes.
basically plays a trick on her, like teases her secretly, right? Which is so cute. It's almost like their story is very just Jane Austen to me, is all I can say. Where he's
Mm-hmm.
like, I like this girl. You want to help me choose a gift for her. Like, basically like she's sad, right? Because she likes Senpai Dao. And she's just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, yeah. And then it slowly through the interaction of the exchanges of the scene, she realizes he's actually teasing her and coaxing her and he knows who she is.
Yes.
Right? And he gives her back the handkerchief that she had dropped when he first met her by the lake. So that was very sweet. That's a whole story. That's a whole music video on its own if you want like tell a
That was a
story in a video.
very cute scene. That
Yes.
was yes, I like that
Yes.
scene a lot too because okay, so a comment about this actor. I know nothing about him. I don't know if he's even acting anymore because again, this is from
Probably not.
2
I've
years
never
ago
seen him
and
in anything
yeah,
else.
I was like, has he been in other things, right? But I thought he played this character like the stoic introvert. Like in that scene, he's nervous, but he doesn't have much like facial expressions and how he plays it, but you can still sense the nervousness and like he's afraid she'll reject him, but it's still done so well. Like I was like, I don't know who you are, but you played this character really, really well. And I actually enjoy how you're playing the general. Like
Yes.
because this general role could have been a thankless role, to be honest. Like,
I mean, it
because
is given the
he doesn't
screenplay.
have a plot. Yeah, like there's really, it's not about him really. I mean, everything
Yeah.
that they're facing is really about her. Like the bride is the one who has
Yes.
all these issues, not him. So, but yeah, that confession scene was just so good because it wasn't rushed either. Like, you know, excusing the fact that they barely have any scenes in the entirety of the drama, but the fact that when they had that scene and they spent time like sort of slowly unlayering it, it was really really well
It
done.
makes me go, I want to see more, and then there was no more to be seen, unfortunately. They skip right to the end, where they have the final challenge about the unnecessary royal edict, marriage. Whereas they then pad out so much about paper thin villainy and adding other couples that we don't need to see. So I do also want to talk about one of my favorite scenes between the first CP because they're a very different couple, as we said. They're more of a young, cutesy love, kind of playful love. I would say that the second CP is more of a mature, equally matched, right?
Yes.
A romance, adult romance. The first CP, not that they're not adult, but we already said the girl's like 15, right? Technically. And he is much more the wiser one of the two, and he leads and teaches her, but in a
Mm-hmm.
very doting way, right? But not in
Yes.
like a
Yes.
fatherly doting. So it's very cute when he teases her, and he teases her all the time. But one of my favorite scenes is when she's always like threatening to leave, right? And she's
Mm-hmm.
like packing up. I think the last time she threatens to pack up, she really starts to pack up, right? Because there was yet another hurdle they couldn't overcome, and she thinks she's gonna get found out by grandma. And she's like, I'm not staying for this. I have to leave. This is ridiculous. I don't want to live like on knife's edge all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, really? You're gonna really leave, right? Like, and he's like, okay, fine. If you really insist on leaving, I guess now I can go marry the other girl that grandma has lined up for me, who's like way prettier, anyways, right? And she's like
Mm-hmm.
jealous, right? He knows how to push her buttons, and
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was really cute when he's like, let me go look. Like, I even have a picture of her right here in my hand, like a tiny portrait.
Oh yeah.
And he
Yes.
looks
I know.
at it, and he's like, you want to see? You want to see? And she's like, fine, I want to see, right? Who this
Yeah.
girl, how pretty it is. And then he shows it to her, and it's a mirror,
Yep.
right? Like, he really, but that's not the apex of the scene, climax of the scene. The climax is when he basically says, you're not going to leave now, right? And she's like, well, you have to convince me or something. I forget the specific sequence of what they said, but basically he ends up kissing her, right? To show he
Mm-hmm.
loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, is that enough to convince you? And she's kind of like, no. I kind of like, okay, let me do it again, right? And then she's like, okay, that was better, right? And then I think he
Mm-hmm.
kisses her 3 times. And then she's happy, but then he's like, okay, I'm glad you're staying. And then he turns to go away, and then she like pulls him back and kisses
Mm-hmm.
him proactively, which I thought was really sweet. Like, that whole scene sums up, like, kind of, to me, everything that's good about the first CP.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. That was a really cute scene too. See, yeah, it's funny because like as you're watching it, there's not, like you said, there's not much happening, right? The plot is very thin, but it's these interactions that kind of hook you in,
yes,
and it's really the only reason to watch this. Otherwise,
yes,
like, and you kind of wish that there was more of that because, once they get together, once they all kind of are open about their feelings and they're like, oh, I'm with the right person, and I'm there's no doubt, even if that's not my identity, I'm married and I'm happy. Then it's like, okay, but you still have this long road to go of other things that can come and break you apart, right? So
episode
yeah.
10, 12. How many more episodes?
Right, and then yeah, it is, the only, I mean, there's a lot of things you can probably go after, right? Like the logic
Yeah,
of it, like the parents. Where are the parents in all of this? Because,
one of them does make an appearance later.
oh, okay, like what, like, where's, my daughter is married to this family, but then like, no one, knows that they're with the wrong family. And then,
But if you think about the reality, right, of marriage back then from a distance, that is how it
mm,
works. You are out of the family once you marry into someone else's family.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so yeah, in that sense, I guess that makes sense. But I always thought that you still go home after you get married to like see the family, you know?
You can. like there's like a visit home type of thing, but they are so distant, right? I mean, he does say one of the tests that Tian Xiwei, the first male lead, right, does to test her, and early on was like, hey, shouldn't you write a letter to your mom and dad? And she's like, oh, I gotta write their names.
She didn't know their names. She's like, oh wait, that was funny. So actually, there was a little conversation you and I had offline about if the brides had not been mixed up, like would they have still been good matches with their intended grooms? And I had thought about this as I was watching it. I'm like, because there's some scenes where the four of them finally meet, right? Like, and they kind of like nod at each other, like, oh hi, like the like awkwardness, like, oh, you could have been my wife, kind of thing. That's how I felt when I was watching it, and I was like, well, the martial arts girl. So the general always said that the wife that he did marry, like, so she wasn't. She was sort of you know, very sheltered and stayed at home type of girl, but he always liked her because she was very brave, right? Because she was disguised as a male, and she was helping the Sifu, who was also a physician. Like, she was helping tending the injured warriors, soldiers. So like he really admired her bravery, like, and also she helped him with some strategy, military strategy. So I always wonder, because they always paint the artist girl as also very brave, and that was the reason Ao Ruipeng's character liked her. So you're like, well, she technically has some of the similar traits that the general would potentially have liked. So I felt like they could have been, but it would have been just a different dynamic, because I think the way, when we talk about two different couples, they're vastly very different. Like, you have one that's very bubbly, kiddie-ish, and then the other that's very mature. So like, if you had swapped it, I guess in a different scenario, it would have been like opposites attract, kind of, where one half of the couple is quiet and stoic, and then the other half of the couple is the bubbly, extroverted one. So dynamically, I think it could have worked, actually.
Oh, so the original pairing would have been opposites attract. I'm not sure.
Yes.
So yes and no, right? Because I thought you would have thought that the wrong pairing that turned out to be right is opposites attract in some ways. But I see what you mean. Personality-wise, it would have been the opposite if
Yes.
you went with the
Yes.
original. And I agree with that. But what I think then the story could have been is, the Qi Tianlei, the first male lead, I guess, Ao Ruipeng's character is smart, right? He's trying to outsmart the villain. And I think his original wifey, the smart, would have been smart and would have been a smart partner in crime. So they would have been used their brains rather than bronze. Versus they ended up using a balance of both, actually, to fight the villain with the actual pairing that ended up being the case in the show. Whereas the general and then the spunky girl that was supposed to be his bride, I think would have been, I don't know, I think she could have activated the more martial aspects of him, or he would have maybe doted on her too, right? Because she is a very doteable character.
Yes.
I'm not a huge fan of Tian Xiwei, because sometimes I think she's almost too cute. There's such a thing as too cute, okay? Like, no human being is supposed to be like this in real life.
Yeah.
Feel like in the setting of this show, and especially when paired with Ao Ruipeng, somehow it works, right? They just kind of bounce off of each other in a positive energy type of way. I think because of that, she would have worked even for the general in some ways, but it wouldn't been the same kind of cuteness. Very different.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna speculate. I think it still could have worked, just very different storyline.
Yeah, I think, like, I agree. I think it would have been different energy levels, the way they bounce off of each other. But it's not impossible. It's just also, it's just, but I think I credit that to either the writer or the casting, because to say that 4 different people in 2 pairings, even if you cross them and they could still work, and in a likable way, it says a lot, because it's not every day that you watch characters that you would like. Because sometimes we're like, oh, we only like one CP over the other CP, right? I think here that the difficult part is that you have 2 CPs, even though there's a secondary CP, as ostensibly is supposed to be equal pairing across the 2 couples. But they were both enjoyable to watch individually, right? If you just don't care about the storyline or the plot holes and logic, if you just care about the couples, they're both very cute to watch. So, yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head, right? Which is that these are 4 individually likable people who mix and match very well, and you can kind of mix and match however you want. So it's a reflection of the casting maybe and the characters. Even though people complain this is a watered down version of the original, and I never read the novel, so I have no comparison to either the original show or the novels, right? But we still like the watered down subpar remake that everyone calls it, with the horrible headpieces for Ao Ruipeng and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Anything else, or are we ready to kind of go to ratings?
Yeah, I'm ready for ratings.
Okay.
Why don't you want to start?
Yeah, so ratings is hard because I always say, right, there's the objective rating I probably would give this, and then like more of a did I enjoy it. So from objective thing, I would say this is probably a 7.8 for me, right? It's watchable, it's enjoyable fluff. It's not great from a plot perspective. From enjoyability, actually, if I only watch if you only focus on the first 10 episodes, this is actually like an 8.2. Right?
Yeah.
And I would definitely still recommend people watch it because I kind of told you I'm watching this, and I'm not going to force you to watch it, but I think it's actually pretty fun if you just, and I said this, watch the first 8 or 10 episodes, and then you can just like skip to the end or even not bother, right? Because that's really the crux of what makes this show good. It's the couples. It's not, the story failed them, right? The plot failed them, but the characters stand for themselves. So watch it for the characters, and if you like Ao Ruipeng or if you like Tian Xiwei, I don't think the other 2 actors are well known enough for anyone to like, but they're worth checking out too. If you're a fan of any of these people as characters or actors, I will watch it. If you like sweet romance, cuteness, harmless but cute, watch the first 8 episodes or 10 episodes. If you like cute OST, actually I forgot to mention, it has some sweet songs on it that I really like. So all of that is why I would say watch it. If you want to watch a smart show with meaningful plot and logic, then don't watch this, right? And you don't care about the actors or the characters, and you are just like, oh my god, aesthetics in first episode scares me, then yeah, maybe this is not the show for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I'm just thinking as a writer, because obviously I never read the book, but I'm assuming it's very closely tied to the original source. Like, the way I think about it is like it's really just a romance set in this time period. Like, it's really about the romance. It's not about like the heavy political
then they
stuff.
shortchange you on the romance.
Right, because you don't have to set the bar so high, right? Like, if you're not willing to tackle those heavy themes, like, you don't have to write those themes. Like, it could just be 2 normal families with the wrong brides, right?
Yes.
But I would say my overall rating would be like an 8.1, which, which is an average, basically, what you gave. Like, you just have to, if you're ready for like just fluff and you just want to enjoy the little bit of sweetness, it's enjoyable for that. And it's like I liked all 4 characters. It's rare that I like all 4 characters. Usually there's like a pairing I don't care about, or you're like, why they have so much screen time. But here you're like, oh, I want more screen time of the second CP. Like, where are they? So
also not starring the show is what I said. So yeah, so it's a shame that the characters didn't get their due fully, but I'm glad that at least we got to see what it could have been, and I enjoyed it. Probably could have been 10 episodes shorter. It would have been a better show. But it also confirmed the fact that I like Ao Ruipeng and watching his shows because I like the characters he plays and the ways he plays them. And reserved. I think I said this to you before. I think he makes most of his leading ladies look good, not in like a physical way. Like, they work somehow. With him.
Yes. I was saying to you offline that, like, I realized the female lead, like, this is the first time I've seen her and stuff, but she's apparently acted in a lot of other things with a lot of other idol drama type shows with like well-known male leads. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I should check those out like they're older, but I'm like, but I don't know if she acts the same in all of them, or if she's capable of acting in different type of characters. So I'm still interested. I don't know. I have to look into what those plot lines are and stuff. But yeah,
Well,
I mean what?
You might want to check out New Life Begins first because of Bai Jingting, and it's another
Yeah.
family dramedy type of thing. But I watched 20 episodes of that, and I was like, okay, I've watched enough. I would say she tends to play similar characters, but if you like that, she's fine. And if you do end up watching her with anyone else, it'd be interesting to kind of revisit this convo and see who does she work best with. Because I actually really like her pairing with Ruipeng, and I don't think it's because of unnecessarily just she pairs fine with everyone, don't get me wrong. I just think that somehow they work really well together. And I think I read somewhere, I mentioned to you that she was maybe originally intended to be Landy Lee's character in the Starry Love. I just can't see her with Chen Xingxu in
I
that way.
cannot either, because Landy
Maybe
Lee
that's
played
why.
that role so well. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like heftness, is that the word? Heftiness or heftiness. Landy Lee is a stronger actress.
Yes.
Like if I were to compare. But yeah, actually she's in a Tian how do you say her name?
Tian Xiwei.
Tian Xiwei. She's in something with Joseph Zhang too. So, and you and I had said Joseph Zhang has Ao Ruipeng energy sometimes, like that sunniness.
Oh yes,
So,
I meant to watch that too, but I didn't for also reasons.
so maybe that one is one we can consider.
Reasons.
Yeah,
No,
we like
no.
him, we like her, so maybe it'll work.
No, I'll just wait for his his first xianxia ever to come out with Bailu soon. It's good. It looks really good visually. I'm curious how that pairing works out because we like Bailu with Aripan, so let's see how she works out with Joseph. But yes, I like Joseph a lot. Like I think my current Chinese actors that I do like watching as actors, that like basically I'll check out shows they're in, not like blindly, right? Like I'm more interested in checking them just because they're in it. Would be our son Chen Xinxu, as you know, because we both like Chen Xinxu and Joseph Zhang.
Yeah,
Those are the three I'll be like, oh okay. I kind of like Ho Minghao, but he's not a very strong actor, so I don't think I would just check it out because I'm like, oh, he might be Chen Xinxu is a really good actor, but sometimes the story is like the last one. What the hell? A Beautiful Lie.
yeah.
Hell, man. What the hell? Sorry. I'll get off of my soapbox now. All right.
No,
So
yeah, his last two dramas did not. We couldn't even finish them. Like,
what
so
the heck?
yeah, I know. I'm waiting for his drama Dorama to come out. Although that one's dark. That looks dark. So very different from the fluff we just watched. So
yes. All right.
Well,
so we good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, I don't know what random. I mean, I'm out of Aripan dramas. Well, I'm not out, but one of these days I have to spend 5 minutes talking about all of the random Aripan dramas I've now watched.
You can tell me
like
all
a
about
ranked order list. All right.
You like found the most obscure ones to watch.
They're very interesting, I'll have to say. There's one where he's an AI robot, and I was like, how is this romance gonna work?
Wait, like a real robot?
Yeah, he's a
Like
robot.
he's not human?
He's a humanoid. Yeah, he's a real robot. Like he will short circuit, and he never ages.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah. See? It's an awful show, and yet at the same time so cute in some cringe-worthy ways. I'm just like, why? It could have been so much better. He looked really good with his like nerd glasses in them, and I was like, oh.
Oh.
But anyways,
maybe I'll check out one episode.
Yeah. Check out clips. It's called Unusual Idol Love. I think he made that after Poison Love. I would say of all of the older shows of his, Poison Love is still the best. If you like wuxia, Blood of Youth is good, but he's not really like the main character. He's just the trio main male leads, and he's very doofusy in it, but in a cute way. Like he carried it off. Like versus fell flat on his face. Let's just put it that way. So, anyways,
Okay.
this could go on, and I'm not gonna make it, so no one has to suffer through this. So, anyways, all right, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.